How long does it take DICE to make a necessary server browser change that the entire Battlefield community has unanimously wanted since the game's launch? Well, the answer is 1 year. The October update for Battlefield 1 is out today, and DICE has finally implemented a server browser for the Operations game mode. I'm searching in sort of the AM right now on West Coast, and there's only one Operations server running right now, but it at least lets me know that if I try and matchmake for Operations, it's almost certainly going to put me into an empty game because there's only one server that's full. Saves me a lot of time, and when it's peak hours, I'll have a much better idea of whether or not Operations is a viable game mode. And furthermore, if I really want to play, I can always queue up for the full game mode and just play on that, as Operations now cycles over to different Operations modes. So this is a huge update for the game. I don't know why it took a year to implement. DICE really pushed back on this one for a long time, even though it was obvious to just about everybody I've spoken to that this was a necessary change for the game. But anyway, it's here. We have it, and maybe Operations will become a little bit more popular. The downside to this is that DICE got rid of the 40-player Operations mode, which arguably was a much better balanced version of Operations, but I guess the 64-player mode was more popular. So DICE decided to get rid of that one to improve matchmaking in general. Rather than splitting the player base between two different types of modes, they're just narrowing it down to one. The patch has also made extensive bug fixes and other changes to the game. Sadly, it does not include the weapons damage model update that is currently being tested in CTE. I think DICE wants to test this more before implementing it into the game, so we probably have at least another month to wait before we see those weapon updates in game. This is really disappointing. I think overall this is probably the most exciting part of anything that DICE is working on right now, and I really wanted to see that in the vanilla version of the game, but I think we're going to have to wait a little bit longer. A nice change that did come with the October update is the removal of the elite pickups from Domination and Team Deathmatch, which again is one of those things that players have been saying from the start. What is the point of having elite pickups if TDM is supposed to be about kill-death ratio and you're giving players an incredibly unfair advantage regarding kill-death ratio? So the elites are gone from TDM and Domination, so anyone who likes to play those modes, rejoice. The Bayonet Key Bindings have seen a little bit of an update. You now have the option for a press or a hold option on the bayonet charge, and you also have added key bindings to change the bayonet charge to a different button than the standard melee key, which is nice, as I think a lot of people accidentally would go into that bayonet charge when they didn't mean to. They also added the options to turn off the Chromatic Aberration that was added to the game, I believe, in the last patch, which ended up adding that weird color fringing along like high contrast edges and stuff in the game. This is something that was annoying, people didn't want. You can now turn it off, and also you can turn off the photographic film grain noise that's part of the post-processing effect. So these are just nice little things that players can turn off if they don't want to try and make their game look like a movie. When it comes to the rental server program updates, admins now have the ability to move players between teams. Nothing was mentioned about rental servers getting the ability to host their own games of Operations, but if it hasn't been added in this latest patch, which I imagine it would have been mentioned if it was, that would be a nice update down the road. Now there's plenty of other bug changes and map updates, and if you want to see the whole patch notes, I'll leave a link in the video description for you guys to comb through. Also, DICE has been dropping tidbits of information about their big naval-based DLC coming up for Battlefield 1 called Turning Tides. You'll be able to play as the British Royal Marines in this DLC. There's going to be 4 new maps, at least 1 new elite class, and DICE pretty much said that there wasn't going to be a behemoth this time around, and I don't believe we'll be getting 2 extra maps at any point for this one either. So I'm sure the value will come in other areas. I believe there's a bunch of naval ships that we will be able to control in this one, so that's kind of exciting. The image that DICE released here shows a soldier, and he's actually got a grappling hook on the side of him, which is kind of interesting. Maybe there'll be a new grappling hook mechanic in the game that perhaps can even be brought into other maps or modes. And for you Battlefield veterans out there, you'll know this was not the first time EA has implemented a grappling hook into a Battlefield game. Obviously, Battlefield Hardline had grappling hooks and zip lines, but way before that we had Battlefield 2, the expansion Special Forces, came with grappling hooks and zip lines as well. It was kind of a cool concept in Battlefield 2. I thought it was exploited a little too much, and it allowed people to get on top of any roof in any area of the city, and it just sort of broke down the lanes. I think in Battlefield Hardline it was implemented a little bit better, but interesting to say the least. We know that Turning Tides is coming in December, so if you guys have been hunkering for some naval warfare in Battlefield 1, that's when it'll be available. I thought that the naval DLC for Battlefield 4 was one of the better DLCs. It was a lot of fun, and the boats really brought a lot of interesting aspects to the gameplay, so hopefully it'll do the same for BF1. DICE have also been busy modifying the Excursions game mode, which is the official competitive game mode for Battlefield 1. This is really the first big attempt, I think, at making a proper competitive game mode. We did have like Squad Rush and stuff like that in Battlefield 3, and those modes were kind of fun and whatnot, but DICE didn't put forth a huge effort to try and initiate a competitive matchmaking ranking system around a competitive style of Battlefield before. This will be the first big attempt, and it's good to see that they're doing as much testing as possible in CTE. Hopefully they can get this refined and rolled out. It probably won't become very big in Battlefield 1 since the game is already so far along in its lifespan, and Battlefield games tend to sort of putter out in their second year. But if they get the system refined enough and learn a lot about it and how it works and what people like and don't like, then maybe the next Battlefield game can actually launch with a competitive mode. And that would be really exciting. Also on CTE, they updated the Sinai Desert map to support the Frontlines game mode. DICE has been doing a great job of rolling out Frontlines in a lot of the vanilla maps now. I played on a Frontline server yesterday on a bunch of the new vanilla maps that it's been released for, and it's been a lot of fun. I think the game mode is really solid, and I actually like the timer system that they put in there. Some people liked the Frontlines game modes going on forever. Personally, I like them to last for a specific period of time, and if it's a stalemate for too long, then just let the timer run out and the game will be over. But I have a lot of fun in them. There's tons and tons of infantry kills. It's a great way to work on assignments and just focus on infantry combat. DICE has also been testing soldier acceleration and movement to try and reduce the AD-AD spam issue in Battlefield 1 that decent players can really abuse, and it looks terrible and it's kind of annoying to play against. If you want to give feedback, they've done polls. They have forums going up on the Battlefield Live Reddit. Get in there, test out that AD-AD spam, and give them some feedback, because the next big balance patch is probably going to contain the AD-AD spam fix and the weapons update. So if there's any changes you guys want to see being made, go say it over there. Personally, I think the AD-AD spam could be reduced a little bit more. DICE tends to gently nudge something in one direction rather than pushing it far enough that it needs to go initially, or they go way too far initially and have to bring it back. I think they just haven't quite gone far enough with the AD-AD spam. Soldier acceleration and stuff can be adjusted significantly more. Again, this isn't a huge issue on console because of the way analog sticks work. It's really hard to AD-AD spam as fast as you can on PC because the keyboard, you can just alternate A and D as fast as you want, and the result is a really weird spazzing out looking soldier on your screen that's actually very hard to hit. Some of the reasoning behind keeping soldier acceleration high is to get away from imminent danger. I think part of the problem here is also the grenade indicators on screen are either really hard to read, or the radius at which you see them is smaller than it used to be in previous Battlefield games, and so that can make it harder to escape grenades in time. And I think that's another thing DICE could certainly look into. Rather than speeding up soldier movement to react to danger quick enough, maybe allow us to see that danger a little bit more clearly, so it gives us more time to get away from it. Anyway, I encourage all you guys who have the opportunity to check out Battlefield 1 on the CTE and give feedback as needed, because it really is going to shape the way that Battlefield 1 performs probably over the next year. Knowing how long it takes DICE to make minute changes and stuff to the game, we got to try and help them get it right the first time around. And since the weapons update didn't come in this most recent patch, it's almost certainly going to come in the next patch. So get your feedback in there, let DICE know what you think of the new player movement and the damage model, and hopefully we'll see an almost brand new Battlefield game with the next patch. As always guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. This is Level Cap, signing off.